So I found this on Reddit, and I had to read it out loud because I genuinely could not believe someone did this to their own sister-in-law's dead dog. Let's get into it. Am I the asshole for ruining my sister-in-law's life after she used my dead dog's memorial garden to film her lifestyle vlog? I, a 31-year-old female, am currently typing this from a local Starbucks while my husband, David, a 33-year-old male, blows up my phone telling me I've gone completely nuclear and that his family is never going to forgive me. To understand why I did what I did, you have to understand my sister-in-law, Brittany, a 26-year-old female. Brittany is a full-time lifestyle and wellness influencer. She has around 140,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok, and her entire existence revolves around aesthetic content. She doesn't work a normal job. Her parents, my in-laws, subsidize her life while she builds her brand. She is, without hyperbole, the most exhausting, self-absorbed person I have ever met. She speaks in hashtags, records people without their permission, and treats every family event like a production set where we are all uncompensated extras. David and I bought our first house 2 years ago. It's a modest 3-bedroom with a gorgeous, secluded backyard bordered by mature cedar trees. Last summer, our golden retriever Buster passed away from a hemangiosarcoma at age 11. I had Buster through college, my early career, and my wedding. Losing him destroyed me. Over the spring, I spent roughly $4,000 of my personal bonus money building a dedicated memorial garden for Buster in the quietest corner of the yard. I laid custom flagstone pathing, planted perennial hydrangeas and English lavender, built a raised cedar bench, and placed a custom engraved granite stone with his name, dates, and a brass impression of his paw print. It was my sanctuary. I go out there every morning with my coffee. I admit up front, I am not a particularly warm person, especially toward David's family. I find his parents passive-aggressive and Brittany utterly insufferable. I make no effort to hide my disdain for her career. I've told her to her face that I think her lifestyle content is vapid, fake, and pathetic. I'm rigid about my personal boundaries, and David has often accused me of being cold and snobbish toward his sister, just because she lives her life differently than I do. Keep that in mind. The conflict started 3 weeks ago. We were hosting a Sunday family dinner. Mid-afternoon, I was inside prepping marinades when I noticed Brittany hadn't been in the house for over an hour. I walked into the backyard to check on things and caught her in Buster's garden. She had dragged 2 decorative ring lights out there, powered by a heavy-duty portable generator she'd hauled from her car. She was sitting on Buster's cedar bench, which she had rearranged, and had moved 4 of my potted hydrangeas to frame herself. But what made my blood instantly boil was that she had placed her ring light tripod directly on top of Buster's granite memorial stone, scratching the polished surface. When I confronted her, she rolled her eyes and sighed like I was interrupting her sacred workflow. "Relax, Sarah," she scoffed, adjusting her ring light. "The lighting back here is insane at 4 p.m. It's just rocks and dirt. I'm tagging your neighborhood anyway, so if anything, I'm giving your house good energy." I snapped. I grabbed her ring light, yanked it off the stone, and shoved her equipment off the flagstones onto the lawn. I told her if she ever set foot in my backyard again without explicit permission, I'd throw her gear in the pool. She burst into tears, ran inside, and told David and her parents that I physically, aggressively attacked her during a mental health break. David's parents called me cruel and heartless. David pulled me aside and said, "Look, Sarah, I know you miss Buster, but it's just a patch of grass. You don't have to treat her like a criminal over outdoor furniture." I refused to apologize. Brittany left in a huff, and I thought that was the end of it. Here is the twist where everything got exponentially worse. 4 days after the dinner, Brittany posted a 12-minute video titled "My Secret Healing Sanctuary: Overcoming Trauma in My Private Garden Oasis." Curious and angry, I watched it. Brittany hadn't just filmed in my backyard while I was inside. Over the past 4 months, she had been using my house key, which David had given his parents for emergency plant watering while we were on vacation, to secretly enter my property on weekday mornings when David and I were at work. In the video, she walked her 140,000 followers around my memorial garden. She claimed she had spent months designing and physically building this sacred healing space with her own hands. To process her deep personal trauma, she was selling a narrative, but it got so much worse. In the video, she introduced a limited edition holistic healing kit she was launching. The flagship product? Small glass energy vials filled with blessed, anxiety-absorbing soil, harvested directly from the heart of her sanctuary. She was selling these tiny jars of dirt for $48 each. I watched in absolute horror as the video cut to footage of her taking a silver garden trowel, digging directly into the earth right beneath Buster's memorial stone, where his actual ashes were buried, scooping up the soil and pouring it into plastic tubs to pack into her product jars. She had dug up my dead dog's burial site and was literally selling his ash-infused dirt on Shopify to teenagers as a wellness supplement. I checked her storefront link. It showed 182 units already sold. She had made nearly $9,000 selling my dog's burial dirt. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. A cold, ruthless switch flipped inside my brain. I didn't go to David. I knew David would try to smooth it over, offer to make her pay me back, or beg me not to ruin his sister's business. Instead, I spent 72 hours silently gathering ammunition for maximum damage. First, I downloaded the entire video and screen recorded her Shopify store, cataloging the transaction numbers, the claims she made, and the exact timestamps of her harvesting the soil on my private property. Second, I called our home security company and pulled the high-definition footage from our side-gate camera over the last 3 months. I captured 16 separate instances of her trespassing onto our property while we were at work, carrying empty plastic totes in and full ones out. Third, I called a friend who works as a regulatory analyst for the State Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, along with a contact at the Federal Trade Commission Consumer Fraud Division. Then I executed my plan. I didn't confront Brittany privately. I waited until Thursday evening when David's parents were hosting a family dinner at a high-end seafood restaurant to celebrate Brittany hitting 150,000 followers and launching her new product line. We sat down at a table for 8. Brittany was gloating, holding up one of her stupid glass dirt jars, talking about how her followers were feeling the grounding energy already. I waited until the waiter had poured everyone's wine and the table was quiet. "Brittany," I said, leaning forward with a pleasant smile, "I want to congratulate you on the launch. It's amazing how fast you sold 180 jars of Buster's cremated remains." The entire table went dead silent. Brittany's face drained of every drop of color. "What?" she whispered. "I watched your video," I said, keeping my voice clear and carrying across the quiet restaurant. "The dirt you dug up under the cedar bench, that's where we buried Buster's ashes in March. You dug up my dog's remains, put them in glass jars, and sold them online for $48 a pop to strangers." David stared at me, dumbfounded. "Sarah, what are you talking about?" "I'm talking about felony trespassing, commercial fraud, and desecration," I said smoothly. I pulled a thick folder out of my tote bag and set it next to the breadbasket. Inside this folder is 16 timestamped security videos of you breaking into my yard over 3 months. There is also a formal cease and desist from my legal counsel and a copy of the report I filed this morning with the Federal Trade Commission for deceptive commercial practices, specifically selling unverified soil from private property as a medical wellness product. Brittany started hyperventilating. "Sarah, please, it was just dirt. I didn't know the ashes were right there. You knew it was his memorial garden." I spat. "And because you tagged my property's location in 3 of your public posts, my lawyer also sent a takedown notice directly to Shopify and Instagram with the security footage attached. Your store has been frozen, your PayPal business account is locked pending fraud review, and your host provider is terminating your domain by midnight." David's mother shrieked, standing up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "Sarah, you monster! You are destroying your sister-in-law's livelihood over a dog." "She sold my dog for $9,000, Brenda," I said, looking her dead in the eye. "And if she doesn't refund every single buyer out of her own pocket within 48 hours, the local police department already has the video evidence for misdemeanor trespassing and property theft." Brittany broke into hysterical, ugly sobbing right there in the middle of the dining room, hyperventilating so hard she nearly fainted. The surrounding tables were all staring. David grabbed my arm tightly. "Sarah, stop this. You've made your point. You're completely embarrassing us. We could have handled this privately." "We are handling it," I said, jerking my arm away from him. "I'm leaving. You can stay here and comfort the grave robber." I stood up, took my purse, and walked out of the restaurant, leaving the entire family in absolute chaotic ruin. It has been 48 hours, and the fallout is unbelievable. Shopify officially pulled Brittany's store down. Because her merchant account was frozen, the platform automatically triggered chargebacks for all 180-plus orders, leaving her with over $1,200 in bank penalty fees that she can't afford. Instagram flagged her account for fraudulent commerce, and she's lost over 20,000 followers in 2 days as news of the scandal leaked into her comment section. She is facing complete financial and social ruin in her influencer circle. David is currently staying at his parents' house. He called me last night furious. He agrees that what Brittany did was horrible, insane, and completely disrespectful, but he says the way I handled it was pure vindictive evil. He pointed out that I could have forced her to take the video down and refund the money privately, without reporting her to the Federal Trade Commission or platform hosts, which permanently ruined her business reputation. I deliberately waited for a public celebration to humiliate her in front of her family and strangers, proving that I cared more about revenge and winning than I did about my marriage or family harmony. I am weaponizing my grief over Buster to justify completely destroying a 26-year-old's financial future over what was essentially a stupid, thoughtless mistake born out of ignorance. His mother sent me a text calling me a sociopath who was looking for an excuse to execute a hit job on her daughter. Even one of my close friends admitted that while Brittany deserved punishment, nuking her entire life at a public dinner was terrifyingly calculated. I am sitting in Starbucks right now. My dog's memorial is ruined, my husband isn't talking to me, and his family considers me a monster. But when I think about her digging up Buster's ashes for content, I don't regret a single thing I did. So, am I the asshole? Depending on how you view it, I'm either a grieving pet owner standing up against a boundary-crossing narcissistic fraudster, or a cold, calculated snob who used a tragic situation as an excuse to publicly destroy her sister-in-law's life instead of handling it like an adult. Yeah, that's the story. I still don't know if she was right or if she went full psycho over it. Comment your opinion below. Either way, I realized that Reddit is one of weird place. I thought Instagram was weird, but nah, this shit got more deeper stuff inside and I'm still exploring stuff in it. So yeah, see you in the next one.